Got it. Got it. Good morning, Rachel.
Good morning, Mike. I'm gonna turn this volume up just a little bit.
Okay, cool.
Someone starts talking, it may scare you all.
That's right. Okay, welcome everybody. Sorry for the little bit of a late start today. First thing, like normal, is clicker to work. You have to say hi to two people you do not know. If you're online, welcome all online people. You guys send a direct message to two people don't know. You have 1 minute. Ready? Go. And now a message from Mr. Mark King.
Hello, Keller Williams, and welcome to July. Can you believe it? Mark King here from Keller Williams Realty International, and the first half of the year is in the books. And so good news is next month is Mega Camp month. Can't wait to see all of you in Austin, Texas. That's August 15th and 16th. So excited about that. And for all of us viewing this, what we know is the back half of this year could be a little dicey based on what happens with the government and the Fed and all those fun things. Here's what we know for sure. She who controls the listing controls the transaction. So right now I'm going to challenge you, double up on your listing activities in both your lead generation and your lead conversion. And so if we do that, we're going to be in great shape going into the third and fourth quarter and set up a beautiful 2024. Have an amazing, amazing month, and we'll see you at Mega Camp.
And every week we try and talk about our MVV, or P. What are those?
Build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving.
So it's not just about selling houses every day?
Well, no. It's
No.
not.
That funds.
It's how you can get out of it as quick as possible while still making money.
So it funds our bigger life. So every week we also start with a culture winner. Many weeks ago, it was Shannon Blumel.
I got to have him for so many weeks.
Yeah.
I was so happy. I just kind of took him with me everywhere I went.
And this week's winner, it says TBD.
Yeah.
We don't have a person, but you know what? The next slide has a picture of it.
Oh, thank goodness. And I
Should I-
wish he was here today.
I don't know. Should I go ahead to the next slide?
Yeah, go ahead. It's Jim.
Oh.
It's Jim.
I was like,
Yeah.
broke a moment.
Right. No, it's Jim. So Jim's not here today. So get your phones out
Oh.
and you're gonna text him and tell him congratulations.
So why did he win?
Jim is culture. Jim is the guy that you go to when you have a problem, and he takes his time and explains exactly all of the reasons why it needs to be a certain way. He doesn't just give you the answer, he teaches you. He is a teacher at heart, and raise your hand if you've interacted with Jim. Yeah, and he's probably helped you, right? A lot? Okay. He is just super busy all the time and never makes you feel like you're bothering him. I walk by his office, I say hi, he'll stop and talk. He comes and checks on us in the leadership office ahead of the weekend, every day. And so he is just one of my favorite people out there. And if you haven't had a chance to interact with him, go find him and go talk to him. He's one of the most interesting people we have here that I know. So
Absolutely. Okay,
Yeah.
so since he's not here, and usually we'll try and give him some time off, but we're gonna bother him anyway today. So please text him, say congratulations on being culture winner. Here's his number, 417-224-7445. Operators are standing by.
And even though he is not here in the building, he is obviously still taking phone calls and all of that. Also, we heard from Don Klepper this morning and he had to put his dog down. So send him some love and encouragement as well.
Yeah.
I know he's struggling right now.
So other than that, on broker moment, we're not a lot to talk about. Jim does want to talk with you all about Bold and what it did for him. So we're gonna say that for next week when he's back, but we'll go on. Also, Telephone Consumer Protection Act.
Ooh, that's a big one. I got an email last night that I wanted to make sure I shared. Hold on.
And while she's looking that up,
Email.
look at the box on the left. The TCPA regulates telemarketing calls, voicemails, and text. There's no B2B or business to business exceptions to the TCPA. If you don't have permission to call people, don't call them, or you could get sued, which is not fun.
So here's an email I received last night. It said, "Dear leaders, as you may know, KWI recently finalized a 40 million national TCPA settlement that resolved multiple class action lawsuits seeking hundreds and millions of dollars in statutory damages. These lawsuits covered alleged TCPA violations dating back to May 2014 and involved millions of calls, texts made by independent agents through the KW franchise." All that to say, when we had Megan Crisson here, do you remember what she said? People are now more litigious than ever. So here's a time that you need to make sure that you're covering yourself, and for a TCPA, there is a do not call list. If you do not know what the do not call list is, come see us and we will let you know and we will give you access for that. Please make sure you're scrubbing that. Yes, Amy?
Okay, so yesterday,
Uh-huh.
it took me many minutes to figure out how to even get an account. Once I did,
Mhm.
the system kept kicking me back out. I would log in, I would tell it what I wanted to do, kicks me out, log back in. It has to call you with a code every time you get that you're logging in. So something's not working and we need access to this do not call list.
Okay, could you share that with Nicole or Haley so they can work on it?
I have-
Nicole and Haley, did you hear that?
I honestly,
Yeah, we were working on it together yesterday and that's what we've always ran into, even when Shanna had it. So
I had to. I
Hey,
had
Amy,
I had to
in
call
the
them.
drive, I have the list downloaded too.
You have
the list downloaded?
Of every 417 number?
Okay, perfect. She has it full for you.
Got it.
Wow.
Okay. Vendor guide. So one thing that we had a suggestion on those, either our affiliates or our vendors,
Mhm.
when we have a big event like last week, it was mentioned to us that maybe we need to let you all know that there's gonna be no time to talk. So we're gonna be better on that from now on whenever we have a full length thing where there's no time for you all. So we want to be valuable with your time too. So.
You're still able to come. We just wanted to make sure we're respecting your time, so we're
so
very
you
sorry
know what's
about
going
that.
on. So, but look at our growing list
I
here.
know, it's
And
awesome.
there's some online, there's some people here, and let's start. Is Christine the first one I see? Stand up, tell us real quick who you are, what you do, and we'll go around the room.
Hi, I'm Christina Ferrante with 417 Home Loans. I am a lending lady, as most of you know, and I love Keller Williams.
Yay. Community mortgage.
Go ahead. Yeah, work your way back, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm Anton Kalashnikov with Community Mortgage Brokers. We have lots of solutions to make anyone a homeowner.
Yay.
Cindy with Great American Title. We care, we listen, we call your clients, we call you. We want to work with you. We've got 16 locations, so we go where you go. We're already there, waiting for you.
That's got you. Thank you.
Cool.
And they only call it a TCPA compliant way.
Cooper, Keith Cooper.
Lisa Cooper with Summit Lending, where I always have your best interest.
Leah.
I'm Leah Reed with Central Bank and Central Bank Mortgage. We can do all your banking needs, but I'm a mortgage lender, so really more mortgage leads or needs. We do everything as far as portfolio and government conventional loans.
Adam McGrath, Comparative Insurance Agency, and we love helping home buyers figure out the insurance world.
You know, can I give Adam a plug?
What?
Adam was fantastic last week. I had a client in Monette, had a problem with his local homeowner's insurance guy. And there wasn't anything in it for Adam, but he was fantastic and answering the question, which led to them getting a new roof. So thank you for the advice that you shared with my seller. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. I don't think we have anybody online.
And we're always looking for more. If you know of other people that are interested, all types of different, what would you call it? Businesses. My words are gone today. Realtor Weekly, you get these slides every Sunday night, so we only hit the highlights of them. This current stats, I actually shared the video to our internal page, but you can get to it. It'll show you all the stats there. This is some of it. Oh, I don't want to show it again. Giving it Broker Bay. The more people are using this to help set up their scheduling. So just make sure you're knowing how to use it. It will save you time. Yes, it's something new to learn, but we're always learning people.
Hey, can I just say something really quick about that? I'll be very fast.
Yes.
You guys, you need to look into it because I don't know how many agents have approached me asking what they need to do because another agent is using Broker Bay to set showings. So don't wait until you're trying to set up a showing to figure it out. Get on Broker Bay, get your account started and start the learning process now.
Yep.
And I'll plug that too. I use it. It's super easy and for $15 a month, you can have your life back.
Does it cost?
15. If you're gonna use it for scheduling, there is a,
Oh, there is.
yes, like on your listing, if you have to purchase a package, a $15 month subscription.
It's $15 if you want a live person to take the call. But if it's not a live person, you
Got
can
it.
do it, I mean, manually.
Got it.
For free.
Okay. I was gonna say, I didn't think there was a charge, so I didn't realize there was an add-on to it.
But still, even if you pay the $15, you get your life back. You're not tied to your phone for 4 days answering phone
Awesome.
calls.
Very cool.
It's awesome. Thank you for sharing.
AI in real estate. This is a coming thing. You need to be ahead of the curve on it. There's a class coming July 25th, so check on that. Did you know, I thought this is interesting. 43% of US households will be willing to move to accommodate their pets. Pets have more love than children anymore. Rightfully so sometimes. Not really. But do you know how many people make a decision based on their pet? You know, it drives me nuts. I go through the grocery store, I'm like, why is your pet here? They're not gonna pick out the food. So anyway, this is the stat I thought was interesting to show. July, we're in the middle of our summer of success. We're right here on today. We have Dr. Hart who's gonna come up here in a little bit. He's gonna be incredible. But you see all the other stuff going. We have what tomorrow?
Side note, y'all missed a fantastic ALC meeting this morning.
Yes.
ALC meetings, you're able to come and sit in them. The galley can't speak, however, you can listen to the conversation. There was really great conversations about how each of our ALC members are feeling in their business, what obstacles they've overcome, and what challenges what wins they've had the first 6 months. So if you haven't been to an ALC meeting, I would highly recommend it. So this week, we have a very busy week full of training. Tomorrow is your Path to Wealth workshop. So KW Wealth, it's a community that was started. Clarissa Skinner will be traveling. She's from Overland Park to teach KW Wealth here will be at Relics Event Center on West Battlefield, not the Market Center anymore. Please get signed up so you can attend. We'll have lunch and you'll have all your materials and packets for you. Also Friday, we have a mastermind in Nixa at the event center that we've been going to. Please get signed up for that so we know how much for lunch. This will feature other top agents in the market as well, sharing their insight and expertise.
Yep, agents from other brokerages too. So invite anybody. We do need to kind of have a head count though, so we know how much food to have.
No one wants to go to a training and not get lunch.
That's right. Did you know we have a just listed contest going?
How many of you knew we had a listing contest? Wow, see, we should do the survey.
So what do you have to do to get into it?
You should know. Take some listings. You should take some listings.
And there's winners every week, is that right?
There is a lot of winners and we have some really great grand prizes and we've broken it out into individuals, teams, groups, small group, all of that. And so here are the last week's winner. Oh my gosh.
I did that terribly.
Okay.
That's awful.
Last week's
Hey
winner.
guys, we actually had new slides that I had put in this morning.
Oh.
Okay, anyway.
So just unshare and then share again.
You keep talking, I'll unshare and
Well,
share.
I don't know who won. Bold.
Question?
Yes, go ahead.
Did you mention Brian's class tomorrow on AI?
Brian, I believe, is pushing that class. Is that correct, Nicole? Brian has changed that class?
That is correct. It is actually going to be in August.
Okay, great. So the board will have theirs. For all of our amazing admins, if you did not know, we
this
have an
looks so much
admin
better.
mastermind group that we meet on a monthly basis, and that will be July 27th. And Brian is actually coming in to teach AI from an admin perspective as well. So if you are an admin on a team, we would love to have you come join.
This looks so much better than the way I did it.
Okay, so was this?
This is the
What
new
was,
one.
no, but we were looking at week one.
Say that again.
Week one, that was what the other slide was, right?
Is week one on there? I'm not sure. Week one,
I think it just
Do you
disappeared.
want to come up here and talk about it?
yeah.
We're a live show, can you tell?
All right,
Full screen.
so who didn't know that there was a listing competition going on? Oh, good. Keep your hands down.
See, Elise, thank you,
No,
Elise.
no, keep
Thanks
your
for
hands
being on
down.
this one.
Okay. All right, I did a video with Mike. You guys should have been watching. We are having a just listed in July. This is to do what? Why would we have a contest in July for listings taken?
Because listings control everything.
They control everything, right? We know fourth quarter's coming. So the best way to prepare for that is to take all the market share, right? Yeah, yes or yes?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So guys, guys, I do have door prizes in my office. If you were week 1 winners, is this week 2?
Yes.
Okay,
Sorry,
what's happening?
I keep moving too fast.
All right, so Paige Fry won the individual competition. There was a 12-way tie for that, and we didn't have 12 different door prizes, so it was a pick of the draw. Justin Henderson and Sam Ulrich got the team. Small group was Cronkite. Where you at? Woo, woo, woo. Yeah. And then Grady and Holt, you guys tied as well. So come see me for door prizes. I've got fun little things like gift cards and scratcher tickets and directionals and different things like that. And the big prizes are coming, which do you have that,
I don't know.
the original? Go back like 3.
That one?
Right here, yeah.
Okay.
So winners are gonna be announced on August 8th, okay? We've got the different divisions, as Rachel mentioned. We're gonna give away a mega camp ticket. We're giving away a bold scholarship. We have a regional event, an agent billing credit, and a free coaching session with somebody not from here, okay? These are great prizes. You definitely wanna get going. So get those listings. Let's take market share and be number 1, yeah?
And to answer the question in the chat, for those of you that, thank you, Cassie. Justin Henderson and Samantha Ulrich did join us this week. They will make an official announcement coming soon. So,
Yes.
really cool.
All right. Bold. You got a slide on here just to remind you, this is going to be an incredible class. We were in tears with our meeting with Molly yesterday with some of the emotional stuff she shared. It's going to be based on emotional mindset. It's going to be on production. It's going to be every level to help you in everything you need. We need how many more people this week?
23 full bold to hit our commitment for this week.
And we have, I've lost them. We have scholarship forms. There are payment forms. There are all kinds of ways to get into this, but you need to be involved in this. The average person that does bold sells how many houses the next year?
Well, it's 14. They have 14 contracts come out of bold.
14 contracts out of bold, and they typically sell 11.7 more homes than normal the next year. This is the way to get you ready for fourth quarter because the numbers are going down. Stats wise across the area, almost every agent and every team is down about 20%.
Our commitment is 150. That's going to also bring in Branson, Tri-Lakes, Joplin. However, our market center goal is trying to get at least 100 of those 150. When we hit 150, that will be the largest bold KW has ever had. So we're super excited to make that kind of recognition for our market center as well. And we get Molly, which is really awesome to have her here.
And there are some bold scholarships available, but it will probably fill up before those are awarded. So we're telling you about them, but at the same time, be prepared. It's gonna be incredible, and it's offsite. Coach Molly is gonna be amazing. My word is.
Happy birthday, Tim Wooten.
Thank you.
Happy birthday. His shirt is very appealing today. Okay, book club. Polly wanted me to announce this. We're still doing the book club. It's on Atomic Habits still. Right after team meeting today, is Paulina here or she have to run
No,
away?
she went up.
Okay. Summer of Success. This has been great with all of our different things. We're on July 18th. We have Dr. Algerian Hart here today. We have CMAs for Success next week. Gain market share through micro events, strategies to manage your mindset in this market, mega camp, and bold first steps. So every week this summer, we got something amazing for you.
Please note, when we'll have to figure out team meeting for bold.
Right.
Because team, bold will be on Tuesdays.
Yep. Oh my.
So I'll have to figure something out.
We'll figure out something fun. Okay, we talked about this some.
Yep, get registered. Here's the QR code. Again, this is free 1 to 5, and then we're doing a happy hour at Whiskey Tango afterwards. This truly is a really great class. There's a workbook that we'll be going through that you'll be able to take. If you've already taken this class, bring your workbook back. I like to use the same book so I can see all my new ahas that I've received.
Exactly. Here's what I was looking for. So on bold, there's the first day is called First Steps. If you will scan that code for step 1, that's a way to try it out and see what you think of it. I mean, we have several people that are non-KW people who are coming to that to see what they think of it. I'm pretty sure once they meet Molly, they're going to join the whole thing. And this is not just real estate agents. Anybody can, because we had a roofing company once.
Vendors can be a part of it.
Vendors can be a part of it. But this is a way to try it out. So log in for bold first steps. There's no financial commitment to that one. That is a one-day thing. And that way you can see what it's like before you even get going.
My first bold, I had 3 lenders in that.
Really?
In the bold with us.
Very cool. All right, and then coming up, like Mark King said, Mega Camp. Uncle Gary's gonna talk to us.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited about Mega Agent Camp this year. You know, every year, Jay, Jason, and myself, we sit down months in advance and we ask the question, how can we help? What can we do? What value can we bring to you that would make a difference right now in your lives? So as you know, it's the 3 L's. It's leads, listings, and leverage. And then we add in wealth building, and we just go for it. To me, that's what Mega Agent Camp is. Thinking big, aiming high, and tackling the issues in a manner that would really help you right now. Tickets are limited this year. I apologize for that. So if you're coming, grab that ticket and come on. I can't wait to see you.
It is limited to 7,000 people this year, and one of the big selling events of it, if this will click forward. There's the 5 reasons to attend. 100% agent-focused event, strategies for thriving in any market, networking and potential referrals. Right there, if you meet one person at Mega Camp, it's paid for your whole trip. Gary and other industry luminaries, and Tim Tebow is going to be there.
Yeah.
The tickets are unlimited now. They do cost if you're not a MAPS client, but we have plenty of them.
For the
to give
master
you.
event, but not the tickets.
Correct.
Now, if you're going to Mega Camp, I shared on the internal page last week, the ticket to buy to go to the CEO Summit. That is the day before Mega Camp. That has opened up for everybody to go. I believe it's $300 and it's a half a day right before. And they have really top-notch speakers going in and talking. It's one of my favorite parts before Mega Camp because it really sets it up in a special training portion of it. And so then a lot of us, if you have the ticket, we are planning on attending that if you want to attend with us as well.
Awesome. I thought I saw a question. I didn't. It is time for Tech Time with Nicole. Nicole up in the ceiling. What can you tell us?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about 2 big things today. First off being your fictitious names. So I've kind of gone through and specified what a fictitious name is. And as you can see, it's basically you marketing as something other than what is on your real estate license. So on your real estate license is your legal name. If you're wanting to use something else other than your legal name whenever you're marketing your business, then that is when you have to register a fictitious name. Now, that's important because if you are using one, or if you are using a name that's not registered, then we can actually get fined or, in trouble with the MREC. And we don't want that because who wants to get in trouble? I know I'm a rule follower. You all should be rule followers too. Next thing is who registers that fictitious name. So as the MREC stated last year around, I think it was mid-year, the brokerage is actually the one who has to own the fictitious name and register it. Now, once it's registered, you can use it however you would like for marketing purposes on your end, but the brokerage does have to register it. I have all kinds of really fun stuff from the lovely legal jargon from the MREC. So I did put that here. If you get emails from us stating that your fictitious name is incorrect or it's not registered, then you are getting an email that has a lot of the section and all of that fun stuff. Now, you cannot, if you want to go to the next page, Mike. So what you cannot use as a fictitious name. This is something else that has been thrown about in the last 6 months, a little bit more than that. So you cannot use any wording that's going to construe you as a brokerage. So that would be realty, real estate, brokerage, company, any of those are not actually allowed unless you have Powered by Keller Williams incorporated in the name as well. And that has to be registered and used at all times.
Now, if you come to us and say, well, will this word work? Unfortunately, the MREC cannot interpret this statute because, again, this is coming from the governor's office that put this in there. Their job is just to hold the statute. So if you come to us and say, would this name work? We're most likely going to say what the MREC would say to us and say, it most likely won't, unfortunately. Now, we have some people that have changed it to group or other things like that. And I mean, we don't know what we don't know until we get an audit. And that's what really we're gonna find out. We're all learning this together. However, the words were realty, company, or brokerage, but we went ahead and added real estate in there because it's the same thing. And this is happening because a lot of consumers are calling the governor's office and saying that this agent represented themselves as the broker. So if an issue arises, said, I want to talk to your broker, and they originally thought it was the team leader, maybe of that team and not the actual broker. So that is where a lot of this is coming in.
Yep.
Awesome. If you have questions on fictitious names or anything, please come talk to me. I'm happy to help. We also do have a Google form. You've been getting emails and stuff about it. You can fill out that Google form and it tells us like, hey, this is what I want to register. We get you registered and it's $7 every time you register a name. But we're adding that and just billing you towards your agent billing. Next fun thing is marketing compliance, something else that we are working really hard to make sure that we are following those rules again. So marketing compliance, this is what I have as a checklist for you. So you're doing a social media graphic for your open house coming up. Awesome, love that. Make sure you have those 4 things. We do have these out printed out on paper as well, and there will be an email going out today with these items. So that way you have that at your fingertips whenever you're creating anything that's going to market your amazing businesses.
And Haley's taken it a step further. There we go. And she's made customized little templates that you can use to add into your Canva, to add it to any of graphics that you're using. And I believe, Nicole, did you say Scott Leroy was going to add the KW logo into everybody's command as they get onboarded?
Yeah, anyone who's brand new or has joined in the last couple of months, they have all of that already in their assets.
Very cool. And assets means your stuff.
Applets,
Yeah.
your different applets.
It's the younger people terms. I'm still getting used to it all. Okay, how's the market? The number of listings and contracts jumped tremendously everywhere except North last week. North, I think they changed, well, you can see it right next to it. It changed by 1 number of listings and 1 number of contracts. Everything else, look at this, 379 new listings total 2 weeks ago, 427. So a lot more activity happened. It's like we just came off the 4th of July holiday. The big one to check though is compared to last year. So last year, this week, we had 531 new contracts in SOMO or listings. This year, 427, 110 less. The market is changing. Some people don't believe it yet. On GSBR, we had 238 contracts last year, 206. So like I said, our contracts went up a lot this year. Here's another interesting number. We now have less listings than the same week in 2022. That has not happened all year. I don't know what that means. I don't know if more people are buying or if there's just more of a change going on, but this is interesting to watch over the next, because last year, 1220, 1272, it kept jumping. Here, we're staying pretty similar. So I don't know what it's going to do, but the fact that we know because we're watching it puts us ahead and helps us help our people. So we were at Dynamic Dozen last year. Dynamic Dozen, Springfield
This
Business.
year.
This year.
This year.
And last year,
Yeah.
and the year before.
Oh, just like 6 times in a row.
Springfield Business Journal lists the top 12 companies in the area, and we've been on it forever. And we were there this last year, and the MC, he was incredible. And so we're sitting there going, we got to have this guy into a team meeting. So we've got Dr. Algerian Hart here today. I want to read his bio real quick. Algerian Hart, PhD, is the assistant to the, if I could read today, assistant to the president for inclusive engagement at Missouri State University. He earned a Bachelor of Arts degree from Long Beach State University and his master's degree and PhD from Washington State University. Dr. Hart served as associate dean for the Graduate College, as a professor of kinesiology at MSU, professor emeritus at Western Illinois University. He's the past president and chair of the Diversity and Conference Climate Committee for the North American Society for the Sociology of Sport. That's the NASSS. And a member of the Inclusion Committee for the North American Society for Sport Management. Dr. Hart is a peer reviewer and a member of the Institutional Actions Council for Higher Learning Commission. In other words, he knows his stuff. And a faculty evaluator for the American Council on Education. He's a member of the editorial review boards for the Journal of Athlete Development and Experience. I need more Mountain Dew today, don't I? And Sociology of Sports Journal, and he proudly serves on the National Board of Directors of Education Foundation for Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. A former elite athlete and coach, Dr. Hart has written extensively in the areas of marginalized populations seeking educational access, student athlete advocacy, student athlete matriculation, and he's the author of the Student Athlete's Guide to College Success and co-author of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion in Sport. Wow. And he's our guest speaker today. Please welcome Dr. Hart. This came up in Google Slides. I hope it works the same.
That's fine.
Okay.
Do you have a clicker?
We do.
Okay.
And do you want the table out of the way or in the way? No, it's fine. All right. Yes. I will go. You want mine? No,
I'm good. Sharing is caring.
I'll grab the water.
I think the first lesson of the day is if you haven't Googled yourself to see pictures that you hate and you're going to give a talk and it pops up on a slide, you might want to try to figure out how to delete that. I hate that picture, but nonetheless, it is what it is. You know, little petty moment there. So first and foremost, I'm delighted to be here. I was just blown away at the meeting this morning. I'm like, if anything, leadership, I'm trying to listen and learn. The thing that my biggest takeaway was the level of openness, transparency, and intimacy. So clearly as to why this particular version of the company in Springfield is so successful, because if you guys are consistently doing that and you're willing to be vulnerable, that's tied to success. So kudos to that, and thank you for that, because I totally took notes and I'm gonna leave that in class. First quote of the day, very profound, so I need you to listen up. The secret of getting ahead is getting started. Mark Twain. There wasn't anything that delightful. I got you though. You're saying something. But isn't that what it's about? At the end of the day, it's just getting started. You know, waking up in the morning. I mean, it's just funny. It's always fun when I get to come somewhere and sit in the back, because I get to see every single person come in and your vibe. And this is really a rarity to come in where everybody has a good vibe. That's just odd. And I was just kind of, where am I? Because usually, you know, you got your morning people, you have your people who are not morning. There's no gray in between. Either you are or you're not. So don't pretend like, you know, the people that say, oh, no, you're not. Stop it. And then the various sizes of caffeine, right? That's the thing. Most people kind of get it. I saw some people sharing muffins and, you know, scurrying around. It's just kind of the observation, the diversity of clothing, styles. Thank you very much. Yeah. Kind of the swag. I think that just about everybody, even some of you may have never been identified as having swag. Didn't see a single person walk in here with not an ounce of confidence. So clearly I'm in a space full of confident people. So no pressure. And typically when people, I send the bio, they read like the first 2 sentences. Not all of that. Kind of embarrassing, but it's okay. So for today, I was really thinking a lot about the conversation. And what kept resurfacing to me is you guys are truly in the business of being dream weavers, right? What you do is ultimately connected to individuals on the back end achieving their dream. On the front end is the nervousness, the anxiety, and you being a curator of that dream, you have to take an individual through the levels of discomfort, comfort, along with attitudes and all the other things come along with it. But the reality is that's what you do. And trying to put that into a capsule and talk about it is a difficult thing. Because the reality of engaging in a space where clearly, I mean, my family, a little background, we've been here for 5 years. We purchased a home about 3 years ago. Really, it's 2.5 years ago. My wife would beat me up. I got that one. About 2.5 years ago. We have 2 sons. One has graduated from SPS and in college. We have another one in SPS. I say that because our roots, and I had mentioned that at the event, the Dynamic Dozen, because our roots are here. And so as a parent, you're always looking at the community. And what I know is realtors are always a giveaway as to the value of the community, not just fiscally, but culturally. And consistently when I've engaged with folks, and I had mentioned this to you, I have met individuals with Keller Williams before in various areas. And the attitude, the sense of invitation is through the roof. Now, I'm not doing a comparison to the other folks, but I'm doing a comparison to other folks, right? It's because it's a thing. It wasn't about, you know, how's your home? Do you have a home? Blah, blah, all those things like, hi guys, how are you doing? Do you have a church? Which is like ding, 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 right? Family, how are you guys doing? Hey, coffee shop, though, just kind of making sure that you're welcome. The second thing is overwhelmingly folks have said to us, we're glad you're here. Now, I've been gone. I grew up on the West Coast. I grew up in Pasadena, California, next to the Rose Bowl, and we've kind of traversed. My wife and family have followed me. I did the faculty thing. I've been working and I've taught in administrative at multiple universities with a little bit of coaching in between. We have never called any place home in almost 20 plus years, except here. And it's kind of a trip. Now, I'm not giving Springfield ultimate kudos, but I will digress and say, you know what? It is a hell of a place to live. It is a hell of a place to raise your family. There are a lot of things that you don't worry about. I think some of the things we see on the news, you kind of laugh at like, that's not really a thing. But, you know, in the space of what we're dealing with, it is the political climate and all those other things that exist across the country. This is a very special place. And I think it gives you a play card in terms of engaging with prospects, engaging with individuals as to why they come here. It is a special place. But that being said, I wanted to talk a bit about the intentionality of aspirational. What does that mean? I said that you are a group of dream curators. So that means by default, you are intentional about the aspiration of others. I'll repeat that. Because of the nature of what you do, by default, you are intentional about the aspiration of others. The second default is that there is a cost benefit. And I love the idea of the individuals that stood up in here and how all of you had a succinct one line about what you do, which I would argue could have replaced it, we're all in. And the confidence and collegiality of how you all commented that it was, I'm here to work with you. And I think there's something cultural about that, but also let's take a moment and talk about your DNA. How were you hardwired? So I'm trying to see here, is that mine? Is this yours? Okay, here we go. So the first thing here is something to consider. Leadership is the ability to influence others to achieve a common goal, clearly. You can become a leader if you're willing to take this down. And of course, I put Jordan in here. I always believe in Allah, so on and so forth. You know this. It's everywhere. You've seen it. But the one thing that's so important about this statement is it's results oriented. It's at the finite. Even if you're not a sports fan, you know who Jordan is because you buy the shoes, or your kids bought the shoes, or you bought shoes for your kids, or somebody you know wears Jordans. There's no one in here that doesn't know where Jordans are. Even if you do, you probably came from Mars. So that being said, what's not in here is the struggle. And when Michael Jordan played basketball, in order for him to get to that apex of being a champion, he had to go through other champions. He had to go through Larry Bird, who just used to absolutely destroy him. He had to go through the Detroit Pistons, which are full of Hall of Famers. He had to go through even Dominique Wilkins and the Atlanta Hawks. I almost said Falcons. See, the Atlanta Hawks, what a sports scholar I am today, right? And furthermore, he had to go through coaches who were not just world-class coaches, but they were champions. So arguably, he had to run the gauntlet of those who were considered the greatest of all time to uplift him to become the greatest of all time. What are we saying? Well, I know that many of you have a diversity of roles within the company, and some of you obviously work for other organizations. But my bias is that every single person has a seed of leadership implanted inside of them. But the thing about leadership is you have to always show up. And that's the differentiator between those who are not leaders and those who are leaders. You'll very rarely hear me use the word follower, because a follower is something that takes a lot of energy and time. Many leaders spend a lot of energy and time getting folks to follow them. But if you are a true leader, it doesn't take energy for people to follow you. It takes energy for you to sustain. And therein lies point number 2, that all of you are in the business of sustainability. That's why you had your leadership meeting. That's why we talk about numbers. We talk about just par, baby. If it's just par, then that means everything else forward is something higher. But every once in a while, we're a little chip off for you golfers, right? But the fact of the matter is, if you're truly a leader, you're on the quest for an eagle. Not perfection, because perfection is what? But it's also aspirational. Something that's aspirational, ladies and gentlemen, it's not really a thing. It's definitely not a goal. It's a dream. So if you're in the business of creating and cultivating dreams for others, that must mean that you are, in essence, a pursuer of dreams. So if we take a moment then to ask ourselves, and today we're just here and that's the purpose, and I already talked to you about that, so I'm gonna go to the next slide. Something to consider is that
The one you're looking at is a little delayed.
okay, so I'm feeling like the news desk.
Yes.
The weather, it's gonna rain. I mean, tornado, I mean, it's 70. Right? Right? I mean, that's gonna, you just make it up until the slide comes up. This particular quote, you pivot, right? We always gotta pivot. Winston Churchill, the price of greatness is responsibility, right? Well, Winston Churchill was a former prime minister, as many of you know. But he asked a question. You must ask yourself, are you willing to pay the price for greatness? If you'll notice something, I've only been talking for a little over 3.5 minutes, and the focus is about excellence. There is no need for me to stand up here and talk to you about average or just being above average, because the pursuit of excellence is connected to greatness, which means ultimately it is what? Aspirational. As you can find right now, if we were to have a test with questions, it's going to be aspirational every time. That's your answer. If you see me raise my hand, just say aspiration. That's what it is. Because it's a word that we don't use every day. It's a word that's really kind of difficult to process because it doesn't fit in our everyday language. But just think about writing shorthand or quick text, aspirational. Like you can't put a short version of it. You're not going to put ASPRRT in it because they're going to be, what? But that's what that thing is. But the key, what he was talking about when he made that, is a real moment in time, because obviously it was World War II. The real business, we talked about, your real business is curating dreams. Well, what does that mean? Well, a little example would be in your dream curation, it's really the American dream, right? Obviously, it's global, but since we're here right now, what we're going to talk about is the American dream. And home ownership or commercial ownership or business entrepreneurship, to just name a few, are all connected to an American dream. It's somebody that was aspiring to do this thing. But while they were aspiring, I don't believe that when they wrote out the blueprint that they had the term realtor put in there. Because that's the conduit, that's the bridge for my aspiration to get there. Because somebody's got to help me find what it is I'm looking for, that I have an image. And if we're, let's have an honest moment. So it's a couple, we'll just go young couple. And they've got this, you know, they come to you and they hand you that portfolio of pictures of the house they want you to find, which there is no house like that because all of the homes like that are in New England, right? But they want to find that home here, right? But there's that vision. And so it becomes your job to take what we believe is our dream and put it on steroids to become something that we believe is aspirational, which you already know what it looks like, don't you? So you know what it looks like before you show it to us. And then when we see it, we may have an expression because you're savvy at what you do. And the next part is that you begin a narrative. And that narrative is 100% about us and empowering us and helping us make the decision that's by us, for us, and you're the conduit that helps us arrive at the dream. I absolutely cannot repeat what I just said because I was just on a roll.
It's recorded.
But it's good. Oh, yeah, that's right. And first of all, I heard the recording come on. You guys are supposed to ask, like, what's up with that? There's no waivers, there's no sign. I was just thinking that. But it's powerful, right? It's so powerful. But the question I have, when's the last time you even thought about that? And furthermore, you have a team of many individuals in here who stated what they do and what they have to offer. And the better you are at getting us to that space and helping us in that comfort zone, the less we have to worry about, the more apt we are to do what? I'm gonna make it very basic and very petty. Spend our money, right? Because we got a ranch. Now, if the range is 100 grand, you're not finding homes 100 grand. If the max is 1.2, come on, keep it real. But I digress. I'm not in the industry. I'm just a guy on the sidelines. So that being said, and that was the first joke. Didn't go over too well, but we'll work. I feel like I'm at the Dynamic Does It Again, right? So some of this becomes, I have up here apple pie in baseball, because this dream is connected to the DNA of the American dream. And that's connected to, the saying, it's apple pie in baseball, because those two things. Now, I don't know if there are any Canadians in here. There's this kind of conversation that baseball was created in Canada. Just stop. I have colleagues that are scholars that I've worked with, they constantly say, and they even say that basketball. I'm like, you know what? I will give both of them to you because we refined it and made it better, but I'll just stop. So in terms of the DNA, that means it's part of what we would say on a higher level, a birthright. And that is extraordinarily powerful, because if you are a dream curator, that means that you are inclusive of anyone and everyone who desires to achieve this dream. And part of the fabric of this country is the DNA of opportunity. Now, some may say bootstraps, some may say your education, some might be whatever it may be. If you're here, you're part of it. Regardless if you're born, regardless if family migrated, doesn't matter. If you meet the criteria, you're eligible for that. And that is a life changer for many. And so when we talk about a leader, it says here a good leader should strive for excellence and not for perfection. Excellence is striving to be what? The best that you can be. While perfection is trying to be better than everyone else. I would argue in this room overwhelmingly, you guys abide by the second part of this. That you want to be better than everyone else. If you tell me no, you're lying. Because that's the competitive DNA, right?
Right.
And it's a thing that we don't admit. But why would we give out awards? Why would you walk up here smiling like you're 7'2" with an award? Because it's a thing. And it's a moment. But as soon as you were to set it down, that means that somebody else has an opportunity to get it. Oh, don't act like you're not feeling me. You just because you're quiet and you're not nodding. And it's part of it. But what's missing in this little bit about excellence and what's striving for is mentorship. You have to have an example to follow, but even more importantly, of someone who's going to pour into you. If on your phone, I tell students this all the time, like, well, whatever. In your top 5, if you don't at least have 2 people in your cell phone who are aspirational for you, you need a new top 5. Because in that top 5 probably means that your friends, competitors for some of us, right? Because we have charts, you got to have your little motivators. I call them cookies of encouragement. And the reason why I say cookies of encouragement at the end of the day, what you want to do, you want to eat the cookie, right? It's not a gold standard. You can't eat gold. You can try to spend it, but if cookies of encouragement, you eat it. That means, okay, I got you. Now I need to go find some more cookies to encourage me. But if you have truly someone who's a mentor, now here's something I want to deflect here, and I don't know how much time I have left. You're good. But there are a couple types of mentors that I'm going to talk about. One is a mentor, what we call the ride or die. They're lifelong. Rather they're here, rather they have moved on, whatever it may be, but they're part of your fabric and they will be with you through the duration of your life. The vast majority of mentors, and this is something I want you all to understand, and it's okay. And I love it because I believe you had mentioned, was it somebody else that mentioned for a season? But for a season. Sometimes people come your way but for a season, just like a buyer, right? All you need is me for one season. And somebody that was on the call, yes, I was listening, talked about his Septembers, right? Didn't know why. I'm sure if he looked at the gridded chart, he knows why, right? But sometimes you need a mentor just for but a season because they need to help you get over the hump. They need to help you get out of your own way. And sometimes they're individuals that you don't necessarily care for, but they see something in you that you don't see that might be preventative from your rise, or it might be something that you need to go ahead and combat so that you can move forward. So those two types of mentors, one is really what I would say lifelong, the true. And then there's another who is just but for a season. But what do we typically do? We ride with the mentor who's been there throughout our entire lives. And that's how we roll. But there is no one mentor that's been through and can give you advice on every single thing in your life. But there are a diversity of individuals. But then there's the magic idea of how far up the food chain are you with your trust factor? So the next part is fulfilling your destiny as a leader. Your destiny is what you determine your life should be. And my 16-year-old, when he saw this slide yesterday, he's like, what are you doing, Star Wars? Like, dude, get out of my slides. But the point he was trying to make is, well, you know, if you are a leader, you're already fulfilling your destiny, aren't you? Like, that's a great point. So then I guess what you have to do is flip to, what kind of leader do you want to be? Well, in order for you to lead, you have to know your gifts. And something you have to consider is, as you uncover your passion, you find your purpose. And when you find your purpose, you'll what? Fulfill your destiny. This isn't just some corny little statement. This is getting at you at the core of who you are, as not just a competitor, but as a leader who is aspiring to do great things. Because if you're doing that, that means that myself, as somebody who is going to come and require your services, you will continue to feed into me so that whatever it is that I have that's aspirational will come to be true. But this is truly connected to, remember I said that cell phone wasn't haphazard, right? Because the 5 people you spend the most time with. Now, it's kind of funny these days, especially when you move in the parent zone, because you spend the most time with your spouse and your kids. So I'd like to hope I'm not a person who's on Instagram and we're doing that 24/7. But that being said, it's really about the people that impact you the most. And so you asked your question, and the last time I gave this talk, I actually was in Mexico. So this part's in Spanish, so it's clown. If you spend the most time with clowns, guess where you're destined to be? A clown. If you spend the most time with those who are disciplined, then clearly you're going to be somebody who is extraordinarily disciplined. If you spend the time with individuals who are diverse in their thought, diverse in their representation, and maybe challenge you because they think differently. It's not necessarily always about opposing views. Sometimes it's just think differently. A different thought life adds more tools to your tool belt as you're building your aspirational wheelhouse. And then the most powerful or impactful one is excellence. Those who aspire for that championship, right? I'm not gonna touch it, but I'm just saying, right? But it is something. But all of this boils down to you, and I'm gonna skip this one because I wanna get to this part, your brand. See, this is not your brand. You're a part of this brand, but every single person in here has their own brand. The second question I have for you today is, how's your brand? Because when you come in and you introduce yourself, the most powerful thing you have in your life is your name. Nothing is more powerful than your name. Your name was given to you by someone who believed that that is going to be the mark that is going to propel you. Now, you are the one that uplifts your name, but your name is your brand. So the question I have, and this is the second time I've asked the second question. It's not the third question, it's still the second question, but just the second time. Now it's the third time. How is your brand? Your brand is not predicated on what people say about you. Because some people may think you're nice, some people may not. It doesn't matter. It's about what does your brand project? And so if we're talking about brand image, are you someone who's different? Case in point. If you ask me to go to the grocery store and get you some wheat bread, I'm gonna go to the grocery store and probably see 40 different versions of wheat bread. just by itself. And that's even before I get to the organic session, right? Because there's just tons of choice. But if you give me the specificity of a name, then that means I'm going in, despite all the wheat bread options, despite everything else that's in the grocery store, I'm going for that name. And that name is connected to value. And that value might be connected to the company. That value might be connected to something else. But regardless of all that, I have been sent on a quest to do what? Get that name. It's connected to the bread, but it's that name. And so to the point of, how is your brand? You need oil change? Is it time for some new tires? Is it time for a new paint job? Are you cruising right now? Do you need to, accelerate a little bit? Are you going too fast in the non-speeding zone? Which, because we are compliant, right? Or is it time for you to have an overhaul of your brand? Is it stagnant? And it's probably been a minute or longer for all of you in this room since somebody asked you, how's your brand doing? How's it look? Because sometimes your brand looks great, but when you look at it, you look at yourself in the mirror in the morning, you're not too excited about your brand right now. Well, why? What's impacting you? And this is not a philosophical analysis one-on-one on you. That's not how I roll. And so I'm going to skip this a little bit because what I want to get to is I asked you the question about your brand because now what's most important is the legacy that you desire to leave. If I asked you the question, this is the third question and the final question, what is the legacy that you want to leave? Not necessarily for family or, I think it's all part of it, but what is your legacy? What is that connected to? What is the brand value of your legacy? Because clearly you're connected to those in family and those who have been a part in other life, but your legacy. And so here it says your legacy involves how your friends, colleagues, and others will what? Oh, it doesn't say perceive you, right? Think about you. It says remember you. So the reality is, let's go what we call recursive learning, where you start here and you go all the way back. So in this 20 some odd minutes we've been talking, I'm coming all the way back. Because the first thing I asked you was what? Nothing, I didn't ask you anything. First thing I said is that you are the what? Curators of dreams. So in order for somebody to remember you, you have to be part of something that was curated. Because see, if we look at the definition of something that's curated, it has to go through the furnace. It's got to go through the heat. It's got to be molded, but it's got to have a cooling period. And the wonderful thing about most things that are curated, it involves water. And obviously air. So I'm being philosophical. I gave you air, water, right? But the reality of what that really means, ladies and gentlemen, is that your legacy, and the question here is, have you ever thought about the legacy you want to leave behind as a leader in your community? And there's no magical answer to that. It's just a simple question. And so in terms of our interaction today, I wanted to really talk about these ideas. And I don't know how many of you know Nelson Mandela and his trials and tribulations, but he said that we have a light that shines within us, and it is not just in some of us, it's in everyone. Remember I said that seed of leadership in all of you? And as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same, which I would argue is we give other people permission to live out their dreams. As we are liberated from our own fear, our shortcomings, our presence, the curator of dreams, realtors, automatically liberates others. So by the pure nature and design of the work that you do, you liberate and empower other people. And by that liberation, you build community, you make community sustainable, and it goes on and on and on. But I would argue that what I'm talking about are things you've never even thought about because you're in the grind, you're doing your thing. But when we exchange emails and I made the comment that that's the business that you're in, and all I wanted to do is come in and kind of throw some kudos and give a reminder of how important you are to this community. And what I would say is that it's in its essence connected to why my family and I feel very comfortable, confident, and emboldened to live here. And so, yes, it does say stand up. And yes, it does say that you should state something. Yeah, I mean, you said there was a delay, right?
Yeah.
So everybody can see this.
Yes.
So they're making a conscious decision to not do it. Am I right?
They're a little delayed too.
Because, you know, I'm visually impaired when these are on. Sometimes, you know, at age, they're. So all I want, because I want it to be uncomfortable. I want it to be goofy. I want it to be, oh, you know, it's like we're in school again. But the difference is, you're the leaders. So if you don't stand, why do I need to stand? If you're not willing to say it, then why should I do with you what you say? So in other words, one, I have the DNA. I have the DNA of a true leader, and I am a curator of dreams. Let's do it one more time. I have the DNA of a true leader, and I am a curator of dreams. Good job, well done. Thank you. Now, typically, what happens is this is really a workshop that's about a half a day. And I did a very speedy version of it because one, you don't have the time to hear the whole thing. Two, it gets to be a lot because you got to take breaks because it's a lot of information. And there are other emotionally straining elements in the presentation that I've taken out that it requires you to do some work. And also it requires you to point out some of those thorns in your side. Because I'm sure as I was saying some of these things right away, you went to some of those thorns in your side. And thorns in the side are typically a nice way of defining people, right? Because they're not things that are a thorn. Like if my car has an issue, I can take it in and get fixed. But in engaging in people practices, it's real difficult to fix people, right? And it's funny to even say that because what you are in the business and on the other side is helping convince individuals that there's something that's a great fit for them where they are right now, but they believe that it's not the great fit because they want this thing. But as a curator, sometimes there are different elements and levels to that dream that you have the power to convince me that this is right for us right now, as it is a part of the whole of the dream. All right?
All right.
Appreciate you.
Favorite slide. Put it at the end of everything, if I can get this to work. What are your action items? What'd you hear today that's gonna make you do something different? Let's get 2 or 3.
We're gonna go out and make dreams happen. Come on now.
How many of us just think of ourselves as doing transaction stuff when we're actually changing people's lives by helping them fulfill that dream? Moving on. Powerful and empowering.
Maybe look at my top 5 people that I have on my phone, and am I aligning myself with the people that are ones that should be there?
When I taught, I used to tell people, as you come in as a freshman, who I see you hang out with, I can tell where you're gonna be by the time you're a senior. The people you're around make a difference in your life. Are you around people that are pushing you for more, or that good enough is good enough? Right.
I really loved, some coaches or some mentors are ride or die and some are just for a season. So knowing whether or not we're with that coach, that mentor that's for the right season for where we're at is really important.
And the really cool thing is you get to decide that wherever you're at in your journey, whether it's your top 5, your mentor, your coach, whoever it may be, but we all need somebody to help us get where we are. success is very lonely at the top, and the people that you have around you are the people that truly make an impact to help you get where you are today.
Cassie online says, figuring out the legacy I want to leave. Yeah. Mark.
You know, one of the things that actually grew me a lot was my first mega camp, actually my first bowl, then mega camp, then family reunion, then coaching. And so it raises your lid because here at our local level, we have the 80%ers and the 20%ers. When we go to mega camp and family reunion, we have the 20%ers and the 10%ers, but you have the 80%ers that are being present, so they can now become the 20 and 10s.
Awesome.
And so as we stay here at the local level, we don't get a chance to experience that. And that's another reason why we should all do Bold. We should all go to mega camp. We should all go to family reunion, because we want to grow. That's why we're at KW. And so just get out of your own way and spend the money in yourself and just do it.
Absolutely.
That was the two things I wrote down, was raising my leadership lid, and then what is my brand? But not just professionally, but personally. Who am I outside of these walls? How am I showing up in my community? And who am I associating myself with to help make an impact for the greater good? Those are the two things I took.
Awesome. All right. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Dr. Hart, for being here
Yes,
with us.
Thank you.
CMAs for success. We have some top agents who are going to talk about how they do CMAs. The CMA is the secret to getting the listing. Make sure you visit with some of our affiliates and our vendors. Say hi to Dr. Hart. Thanks for being here. Have a great week.